But for now, let's kind of look at a chart example of just thinking about your higher time frame combined with your medium time frame. Okay, so here we have two charts. We have our 4-hour chart on the left, and we have our M15 chart on the right. Okay, so the higher time frame in this case is going to be the 4-hour chart, and then the medium time frame is going to be your M15. So as we can see here, the 4-hour chart, clear bullish structure here to the upside. Okay, simple, right? We get a pullback into our strong low, where into our demand zone is, and then we look for that next movement to the upside. Okay, so when we jump down to our medium time frame, when it's happening in the market and price is in this leg here, okay, you can see here, what do we have? We have bullish structure here in the M15. So we know that if we're following these bullish ranges, and then we look at our higher time frame, what is the objective we're fulfilling here? We're fulfilling that higher time frame leg. Okay, so let me go over that a bit more slowly. Over here, we have the 4-hour break of structure, and we have the bullish 4-hour leg. Okay, happy days. If we look here in the M15, this was that last M15 swing pullback, and then we get a swing break of structure, and then we kind of follow these, we form these shallow pullbacks, so it's just internal structure here to the upside. So we can look to follow these, but we have to understand that at any moment, what can happen? That deeper 4-hour pullback can kick in, because right now, yes, we're following the bullish M15 ranges, but at any moment, we know that higher time frame pullback can kick in. So it's a bit riskier. So we have to be very quick with our targets and or just wait for the pullback. So as we can see, demand's respected, but as we get quite overextended, eventually, what do we have to anticipate? That structure is going to shift bearish. Okay, I viewed all of these as internal ranges on the M15 because the pullbacks are quite small. Okay, so my M15 swing leg actually stays below here as well with the 4-hour low. Sometimes that will happen, but we get the medium time frame IBOS to the downside. Okay, so now this becomes our medium time frame strong high. This is our medium time frame weak low. So now what we're looking to do is follow the bearish medium time frame internal structure until where? Until we come down into 4-hour demand. Because what are we doing? We're playing the swing pullback. Okay, so in this occasion, it ends up being the M15 and the 4-hour swing range. Just sometimes that will happen, right? Sometimes your medium time frame swing range will be the same as your 4-hour swing range. Okay, this is my 4-hour swing range here and here. And it just so happens that after the M15 boss, if I zoom out, okay, here, it just so happens that all of these were kind of very, very small pullbacks. So that means that none of them are swing pullbacks, therefore my M15 swing low stays in the same place. So sometimes that will happen where your M15 swing range and your 4-hour swing range will be in the same place. And that's okay. And then what are we expecting? We're expecting the M15 and the 4-hour swing pullback. We eventually get the M15's internal structure shifting bearish. So now at this point, it's high probability to follow the bearish M15 internal ranges until what? Until it fulfills its objective, which is to pull back to that extreme demand level. All right, let me just zoom out again so you guys can see that. So 4 hours bullish, get the break of structure, pull back into demand, and then that next level. I think we all get that. It's quite simple. M15, same thing, right? If you look at the 4-hour chart at the same time, you can see we're following these tight ranges, but we have to understand that at any moment that 4-hour pullback is going to kick in. We get confirmation of that with this nice bearish IBOS, and now we can look to follow the bearish internal ranges. This is really high probability trading. When I get this sort of trading, this is where I'm looking to get involved with really high conviction. Okay, loads of risk to reward down to demand. There's nothing significant to the left I'm too concerned about, right? Nothing on the higher time frames. Strong momentum to the downside. Clear tight internal ranges to work within. We want to be selling in here, selling in here, selling in here. Really high probability. Okay, so if we go back to our theory diagram, what stage is this? This is basically here, right? We had the 4-hour break of structure. We were following the small internal ranges to the upside. Then we're expecting the pullback. We get confirmation of that with the medium time frame IBOS on this occasion. And now we can look to follow those bearish M15 ranges until when? Until we come into 4-hour demand. Now we can anticipate that if the 4 hours chart is going to stay bullish for that next leg, what can we anticipate our medium time frame is going to do? We can anticipate that it's going to shift bullish here. Therefore, we don't want to be selling from here. It's lower probability to do this now. Why? Because the objective is complete. Therefore, we're anticipating that it's going to shift bullish. Okay, now it's shifted bullish. Now what do we expect? Well, this becomes a strong low because it's broken structure. And now we expect the medium time frame structure to stay bullish until when? Until it fulfills its next objective, which is what? To take out the 4-hour week high. Do you see how it starts to come together, right? M15 shifts bearish to facilitate the 4-hour pullback. Objective is now complete. The new objective is to target the week 4-hour high. So therefore, if we're following our medium time frame ranges for our trade ideas, we want to be looking for longs within these ranges, right, to keep following that 4-hour objective. And then once we get that 4-hour objective here, if I play price forward, At some point, it's not going to happen straight away, but at some point we can anticipate that the 4-hour chart is going to pull back. We have this old 4-hour demand zone to the left, okay? This demand zone, supply zone over here. So that's a good area to anticipate that potentially the 4-hour pullback may kick in from, right? So what can we do? On our medium time frame, we can cautiously follow, if it makes sense, follow the medium time frame ranges until we get up here. And then what do we expect? We expect the M15 to shift bearish to do what? To facilitate the pullback into here, right? So let's see, pay the 4-hour forward, we come up into 4-hour supply, okay? And then it starts to pull back. What does that look like on M15? You can see it here, this all played out, right? We get one more bullish range up into 4-hour supply. So yes, we could technically look for longs from within here, but if you're using multi-time frame analysis, you now understand that we can shift bearish, right? And that's what happens. And then we can play the pullback or potentially, the full on blown reversal. We look at the daily chart, we understand that brings it to a whole new level, right? We can add in the daily as well. But keep it to 3 time frames initially, otherwise it gets confusing. So that's essentially how we will be building our narrative in the market, okay? We'll be, saying, okay, we come into today, whatever day this was, Tuesday the 28th of November. I would get to my desk and go, right, we've almost taken out the 4-hour high. We haven't quite yet. So it's not ideal to be buying this high in the 4-hour range, right? Because, we're in the premium, but the objective is already complete. We've already pulled back and we're now expecting that high to be taken out on the 4-hour chart. What do we have in the M15? We have clear bullish ranges. So if price is here and I come into my session, what do? Well, I look at the demand zones. There'd be one here, right? There'd be one here, which is the one that is drawn. Okay, so how do I formulate my trade idea? Well, I've got 2 demand zones to pick from. This is where I want to be looking to get longs from. Whoops, leave this one here, okay? 2 mitigated zones. And we just look for price to pull back in. And I look for my long from either here or either here. And as you're about to learn with the entry models, I spoke about it in the previous liquidity module, there's no liquidity to the left. So where do we need it built? We need it built to the right. There was none built to the right. So where's the available liquidity? It's behind the low itself. Okay, we end up liquidating the lid, into our extreme demand zone, high probability. Let's get our long entry. And there was a beautiful trade here. And then, you follow your management strategy wherever it is to take out at least a 4-hour high. Okay, this is when we get nice cleared price action. This is exactly what we want to be waiting for. These are high probable conditions. Wait for our liquidity requirements, again, which you're about to learn, and we go. So hopefully your brain can kind of start to see this all coming together. Of course, sometimes structure can be a lot more complicated, but when it is complicated, we don't need to trade. If the directional bias is not clear, that's a good indication to stay out. We want to be waiting for where it's crystal clear, the intentions are clear, we know what the objective is, the POI is well priced, we get our entry, that's when we get involved. There are going to be times, okay, where it's not so clear, where price is just moving sideways in a range like here. And this is where we have to be very careful to not get ourselves in deep drawdown, not let it affect our confidence, okay? Because not every day is going to be a clean day. And that is something that's going to take you time to learn, that just because there's a medium time frame POI and just because you've got a bullish bias, it doesn't necessarily mean you should be exposing yourself to risk and taking trades, okay? But that will come with time and experience. So that's kind of an initial, walk into what I wanted to cover first before we dive into the entry models, just to really get you thinking about how to build a narrative and to build your expectations of price, because this is hard to get your head around, but I'm telling you now, this is what will be the key of whether or not you are successful with this strategy. Okay, you've heard me say it throughout the whole course. A lot of you can probably logically understand that, but I see the same thing again and again and again in the community as members come through. It takes them 3 to 6 months, sometimes even longer, and they'll make a post in the Discord and go, okay, now I finally get it. I need to really work on building the narrative and POI selection. I can't just hit every POI, okay? And you need to come back to these lessons then and rewatch them because your awareness will expand and you'll pick up so many things once you've had more experience in live market when you come back to these lessons, and the penny will really start to drop. Okay, so we've looked at it at a bit of a high level with looking at those 2 timeframes together, the 4-hour and the M15, right? Your high time frame and your medium time frame. In the next few lessons now, we're going to dive really deep into just looking at the medium time frame on its own and combining the 3 types of structure and looking at phases, okay? When market structure can get a bit more complicated. And that's when you're really going to bring your trading to that next level. Once you start to kind of get your head around that, then we'll look at the actual lower time frame entry models. Because like I said, that's the very, very, very last thing. The entry model is the easy thing. That's a super easy thing. The hard bit and the bit that will make the difference between being successful or not is knowing whether or not you should be trading from this supply demand zone. Building the narrative, doing your POI selection, and how you do that is understanding multi-time frame analysis and understanding the 3 types of structure on your medium time frame, which is where we have medium time frame phases, okay? It will take you time, but when you finally get that and it makes sense, I'm telling you, your trading will be infinitely easier.